Hey everybody, welcome back. This is another week of our Hyperbaric Gurus webinar. Today we're one person short, so our doctor is not in today, so it's going to just be me and Bill. We're going to be talking a little bit about dementia. Essentially, Alzheimer's is what it comes down to. Dementia is more of like a clarity, focus, problem with remembering, things like that, Alzheimer's. Bill, what patients, have we had any patients with dementia? Have we had any with Alzheimer's?
Well, dementia, I think, first of all, let me say this. Alzheimer's has replaced cancer as the number one fear of senior citizens. I know this is not specifically about Alzheimer's, but many times Alzheimer's is misdiagnosed and it's actually dementia. But can we go back to that confuses me. So anyway, the thing about dementia, all of us as we get into our senior years start being concerned because we don't remember this, or we can't find our car keys as much more often, and we just are concerned that we're in the early stages of Alzheimer's, and Alzheimer's is just a dreaded disease. My father passed away from Alzheimer's, so I spend an hour a day in the hyperbaric chamber hoping that I can avoid that fate. So dementia being basically loss of focus, memory loss, almost every senior citizen that we treat, and we treat senior citizens for a wide variety of issues: cancer, stroke, Alzheimer's, heart issues, just to name a few. But almost every single one of them, when they get out of the hyperbaric chamber, they talk about how much better their clarity is, how much better their focus is. After they have used the chamber for numerous sessions, they talk about how much better they sleep at night, how much better their memory is. So why is that? Well, if we go back to what the hyperbaric chamber does, the hyperbaric chamber, you're laying in the hyperbaric chamber and you're breathing 95% oxygen. But the key is the pressure. The pressure is forcing that into your cells and into your tissue. So when it comes to issues of the brain, specifically what it's doing, it's increasing the blood and oxygen flow into the brain. It's reducing any inflammation. It's repairing and rejuvenating damaged cells. It's building new blood vessels in damaged areas. And it increases the production and circulation of your stem cells. So what it's shown for traumatic brain injury, stroke, dementia, Alzheimer's, it's not, we're not going to sit here and say that the hyperbaric chamber will cure Alzheimer's, although there are many people who have represented that it has. We're not going to do that. But what it does do, it will slow the progress. It will slow the progression of Alzheimer's. So,
Okay, so if it's slowing, the progress and the progression of Alzheimer's, I mean, wouldn't it be fantastic? I mean, my grandpa, he has Alzheimer's right now, and he's somebody who I've been trying for a while to get in the hyperbaric chamber. He doesn't remember me when I call, and what would you do? Or, what would you be willing to do if you knew you could talk to your grandpa or your family members for that much longer. I mean, even if it didn't stop it completely, that's what I'm trying to do with my family is introduce them to hyperbaric therapy. It helped me tremendously. I was a TBI patient. I was released from the hospital for failure to improve. Um, so what the hyperbaric chamber? What do you think? Um, I don't think this question's actually been asked, Bill, and I think you're the perfect person to answer it. Um, what do you think the pros and the cons are of a hyperbaric chamber?
Well, let me say this. Obviously, we're biased. We operate a chain of hyperbaric clinics. We see miracles every day. I think that every family should have a hyperbaric chamber in their home. The saying in the industry is that the hyperbaric chamber will add years to your life, but more importantly, life to your years. We don't mind getting old. It's not that we don't mind it, we can't do anything about it. But what we want is quality years. We want to enjoy the senior years. We've earned it. But with that being said, as we age, we don't breathe as deep as we used to. We're not as active as we used to be, and our immune system becomes compromised. Our immune system needs oxygen to operate at its optimal level, and it becomes compromised, and we start picking up diseases that our immune system's been fighting off for years. So we're biased because we see miracles every week. Stroke victims that are walking and talking that couldn't walk or talk before. We have patients with cerebral palsy that are running and jumping for the first time in their life, MS patients. So the thing is, the hyperbaric chamber, we live in a reactive society. We wait until we get sick before we do anything about it. The hyperbaric chamber will allow you to be proactive instead of reactive. And, when we're young, we invest in our family, we invest in our career. But when you get to be my age, the only thing I have left to invest in is my health. And if I don't, I will lose it. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And what we've seen with the hyperbaric chamber is just miracle after miracle after miracle. And especially with senior citizens. We ignore our bodies when we're growing up. We abuse them. We pay no attention to what we put in our mouth until you get sick. I had stage 4 throat cancer 8 years ago. And before that time, I had the worst diet in the world. I paid no attention to what I ate and what I drank. The day I was diagnosed with stage 4 throat cancer, all of a sudden, I started paying attention to everything that I put in my mouth. And so it's amazing that something so simple can do so much. But the more you research hyperbaric therapy and what it can do for you, the more you're going to be stunned. We do trade shows all the time. And I don't think I've ever done a trade show where somebody hasn't come up to me and said, oh my God, a hyperbaric chamber, that saved my daughter's life, or that saved my husband's life. I never have somebody come up and saying it doesn't work. So when it comes to dementia, it's something every single one of us is concerned about. Not just for us, but for our parents, our grandparents. I can't tell you how many children I've had buy chambers for their parents. You know, when we're growing up, we take care of our kids. I've always said a child's love for their parent is nothing like a parent's love. But the role reverses. Now when you get into your 70s, all of a sudden the children are taking care of us, and that love is returned. So anyway, sorry.
No, that's okay. That's all great information. So I wanted to throw out a couple things because we always try to cover points, and today's one of those days that we don't have our doctor here. So the questions that we would ask on the technicalities and on the depth of dementia and Alzheimer's and things like that. Those parts have not, we're not going to be able to cover as much because I'm not a doctor and Bill's not a doctor. So I do, though, have a list of common signs and symptoms of dementia. And these are a couple things I'm going to read out. This is from healthguide.org. You guys are welcome to go over there and look at it. We'll also have some of this information up on H3 Therapy's website, or our Facebook is probably the best place to look at it. If you wanted to go to our Facebook, it's easier to get to. So sign number one, we have 10 different signs, 10 typical signs that everybody looks at. Number one is memory loss. That's a big, that's a pretty given. Number two is impaired judgment. 3 is difficulties with abstract thinking. 4, faulty reasoning. 5, inappropriate behavior.
You're describing my kids.
I know. I was describing myself. So 6 is loss of communication skills. 7, geez, I can't even say it. Disorientation. That's the word I meant to say. Disorientation to time and place. Gait, motor, and balance problems, neglect of personal care and safety, hallucinations, and paranoia, agitation. So those are all different ones that are linked to dementia, common symptoms. Now, there's one other thing that I'm going to ask you a couple questions, Bill. You might observe that a person with dementia may repeatedly ask the same question, becomes lost or disoriented in familiar places, is unable to follow directions, is disoriented as to the date or time of day, does not recognize and is confused about familiar people, has difficulty with routine tasks such as paying the bills, neglects personal safety, hygiene, and nutrition. A lot of this sounds like people are thinking, well, that sounds like Alzheimer's. The difference between dementia and Alzheimer's is, now this is my personal opinion, I'm not a doctor, but dementia seems like one of those things that you can fix. Alzheimer's is one that seems a little more permanent, as of what we know now. Not necessarily, but that's from what a lot of leading doctors and things say. So what are your thoughts on that, Bill?
Well, first of all, I want to clarify a couple things. People that are attending this webinar are here because they've heard about hyperbaric therapy, and they've heard that it can possibly help dementia and Alzheimer's, among a whole bunch of other issues. It's unfortunate Dr. Cornell couldn't join us tonight, but basically we operate a chain of hyperbaric clinics. We're experts when it comes to hyperbaric therapy and what it can do and what it can't do. And that's what we're here to address tonight. But because we operate a chain of clinics, we treat people with a wide variety of issues. So as we're going through this, if you have any questions on what the chambers can do for you or what they can't do, write them in and we'll try and answer the questions for you.
Yeah.
So when it comes to, like I said, almost everything that you put down there, it's like you're describing my kids. But many times is misdiagnosed, and it's actually a form of dementia. And it's like I said earlier, um, there's no cure for Alzheimer's. Many people have represented that the chamber has cured their Alzheimer's. What we know is that it will slow the progression. When it comes to dementia, though, it's an entirely different situation. And the hyperbaric chamber can rid and benefit a person with dementia phenomenally. So the thing is that frequency is an issue. So that's why many people that turn to hyperbaric therapy end up buying a chamber and putting it in their home for two reasons. Number one, in the long run, it's more cost effective. Number two, frequency is an issue, and most people can't take 2 to 3 hours out of their day every single day to come in for treatment. So having a chamber in their home allows them to get in when they have the time.
Yeah, so, you know, there's a lot of different, I was just reading through these lists here, and it's something I ran across earlier when I was reading through articles, seeing, getting ready for our webinar tonight. I came across this one, and it said, can dementia be prevented or delayed? And I read what they were saying, and it said, recent research suggests that good health habits and mental stimulation may prevent dementia altogether, or at least delay it. And I got to thinking, I said, what does the hyperbaric chamber do? What does it help your brain do? What does it do with your stem cells? What does it do with everything in your body? It's stimulating everything. It's filling every cell with oxygen. So while you're sitting there, thinking, okay, how can I prevent this? Well, it's almost a no-brainer that to prevent it, now me being biased, a hyperbaric chamber would work well to help at least delay it or stop the onset of it. There's different strategies, things like that. We can cover that at a later time. We can also put that up on our Facebook on how to prevent it, coupled with hyperbaric therapy. Another thing, unfortunately, like I said, we don't have our doctor here tonight. So I did want to add another little thing in there. And is there something you wanted to add right now? Or
No.
If not, I wanted to talk about another thing that's really important for your body, your mind, and normally we stay straight through with dementia. We're still on the same path with it, but I also wanted to add another thing, and that's something that we deal with on a daily basis. All the patients use it every time we have them get in the chamber, and it's called Kangen water. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that to fill our time segment that we normally use with Dr. Cornell asking the technical questions about our different things. So, Bill, can you fill us in a little bit on what Kangen water does and where it comes from and all that?
Well, we require all of our patients to drink Kangen water. Our feeling is that the hyperbaric chamber will magnify the benefits of the Kangen water and vice versa. The Kangen water will magnify the benefits of the hyperbaric chamber. So basically, Kangen water is the only medically certified water device there is. And there's the saying in their industry is change your water, change your life. If you ever sat in on a presentation of Kangen water, you would be stunned.
Unbelievable.
But the key is the structure of the water. The molecules are 1/6 the size of a regular water molecule, so your body is able to absorb the water instead of it just passing through. When you put your supplements in, then your body's absorbing those supplements to a greater degree too. It's something that the viewers should look at. Go to www.kangendemo.com and you'll see a presentation and start to learn about it, or give us a call and we'll be glad to answer your questions on it.
what number can they call us at for that? Is the same number as the clinic number?
Yeah.
What?
253-363-0500. That phone's with us 24 hours a day, and we'll be glad to answer any of your questions.
Awesome. So with the Kangen water, we still got a couple more minutes here before we move on to our next section here with dementia and hyperbaric chambers. What pH level? I mean, what is pH? What does it do with your body? Do you know? You know what?
Well, 90% of us today have an acidic body. If we had an alkaline body, we wouldn't get sick. When I was diagnosed with stage 4 throat cancer, they said if your pH was 7, you never would have acquired cancer in the first place. And I asked people, I said, well, how do I get my pH up? And they said, drink alkaline water. I drowned myself, it didn't help until I got on Kangen water. And then I saw my pH start to come up. So it's almost impossible with all the toxins in the food we eat and the air that we breathe to have an alkaline body. If you have an alkaline body, you are really working at it. But my diet sure won't accomplish that.
So that actually brings me to another interesting question. With tell us a little bit about your diet and about what you do now with the hyperbaric chamber. You know, you always have a funny story you like to tell that.
Well, I was diagnosed with stage 4 throat cancer 8 years ago. And I've always said I'm going to be really pissed when I die because I love living so much. And when you get diagnosed, it's like getting hit over the head with a sledgehammer. And I guarantee you, all of a sudden, I started paying attention to every single thing I ate, every single thing I drank, but that was 8 years ago. And I was told that cancer can't survive in oxygen-rich environment. So I bought a chamber. I spent an hour a day in it for 2 years hoping it would dissolve my tumor. It didn't. But during that time, the cancer never spread, so it did what they told me it would do. So to this day, I get in the hyperbaric chamber for an hour. If it's widely promoted in the medical community that cancer, being a virus, cannot survive in an oxygen-rich environment. So if I keep my cells filled with oxygen, there's nowhere for the cancer to grab hold or spread. So to this day, I spend an hour a day in the chamber. And I'm sad to say that I really love a good cheeseburger.
Right.
And I really enjoy a chocolate milkshake. And I enjoy getting pleasantly plastered every Friday night. So the hyperbaric chamber is my life insurance policy. I have my bad habits. I get in the chamber, make sure my cells are filled with oxygen. Life is good.
So, I have another question for you, Bill. What does the hyperbaric chamber? I know we talked a little bit about stroke before. Let's retouch on that just for a second, and you'll see where I'm going with this when after I ask a couple more questions. But with stroke, how does it help?
Well, there's several aspects. I mean, there are probably more testimonials on the internet from people who have recovered from stroke because of the hyperbaric chamber than on any other health issue. We have people that were in comas and not expected to live. And when they come out of their coma, they couldn't walk and talk. And today they're dancing and singing karaoke. We have a stroke patient right now. When she came in, young person, 40 years old. And she was basically in a wheelchair. And now she has finished 40 sessions. She's walked with our facilities on the third floor of a medical facility. And she is walking all 3 flights of stairs, no cane, no walker, completely unassisted. She is so ecstatic. She has a life back that she thought she lost forever. So, stroke is a lot like traumatic brain injury, where we talk specifically, it's increasing the blood and oxygen flow into the brain. It's improving it's reducing inflammation. It's increasing, it builds new blood vessels in damaged areas. It repairs and rejuvenates damaged cells, and it increases the production and circulation of the stem cells. So, but the other factor is that once you've had a stroke, your biggest fear is the next one. And the hyperbaric chamber will reduce your risk of an additional stroke.
So now that we covered stroke, now this is something we're going to have a separate webinar on this, but I do want to touch on a little bit tonight. You'll see where I'm going with my questions to you here in a second, viewers and Bill.
I hope so.
So drug interactions. We have not touched on that yet. That will most likely be our next webinar next Tuesday. So you definitely want to be tuned for that. We will have Dr. Cornell here. We will have Bill here, and we're going to have a lot of awesome information for that. But drug interactions. Does the hyperbaric chamber help for that? Slightly touch on that. We will cover this next week, but slightly touch on that if you could.
Are you talking addiction?
Yeah, addictions, interactions, things that alter the mind. Drugs in general, what they do to the body, and how can the hyperbaric chamber help them with that?
Well, it'll enhance the benefits of the drug. So if you really want to...
So, if you guys want to enhance the benefit of your... No, I'm just kidding. But
when it comes to addictions, the hyperbaric therapy has proven to help alleviate addictions. Alcohol, drugs. So we can get into that next week without getting into it too deep here today.
So next, tumors.
Oh, go back.
Okay.
When I
What
say
were you gonna say?
it enhances the benefit of the drug that you keep taking, because we have people that have severe pain. They take the Tylenol before they get in the chamber, and they're amazed. So if it's doing that, think about what it's doing for your vitamin C, for your supplements that you're taking on a daily basis. So instead of those, the majority of them passing through your body is able to absorb it, and that's where cane and water comes in too.
I was just going to say that.
If you take your drugs with cane and water and then get in the chamber, wow, be prepared for a wow factor.
I mean, imagine, so alkaline water, that breaks down a lot faster than acidic water, right?
I don't know.
So it actually breaks down faster. So it absorbs into your body.
The cane and
faster.
water is restructured, so the molecules are 1/6 the size, but
through electrolysis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So
naturally, not chemically.
Exactly, naturally through nature. So Kangen means
return to nature.
Exactly, return to origin or return to nature. So my last question. Now we talked a little bit about seizures, and you guys will see where I'm going with this. We're covering these points because I want you to have a good grasp on what we're doing and why we're here and who we're talking. Why we spend an hour every single night talking. Not every single night, but every single Tuesday night talking to you guys. So seizures. How does the hyperbaric chamber help with seizures?
Well, one of the issues of many seizures not all of them, but many seizures, is oxygen deprivation. So they have successfully used the hyperbaric chamber for people with epilepsy, and people that have severe seizures, and it's proven to help. Oxygen deprivation, it makes more sense. It makes sense if you're laying in the chamber and keeping your cells filled with oxygen, that is going to reduce your seizures.
Okay, so that was my last question for that. And now you guys are going to see where I'm coming from. Basically, when symptoms of dementia appear suddenly, it's critical to seek medical attention, obviously. But what most people don't know is conditions such as stroke, drug interactions, tumors, and seizures can cause dementia like that. So the reason I went through and asked Bill what it can do for each one of these symptoms and why was because if there's someone in your family, or if you or anyone you know has had any of those problems we just talked about, that can cause dementia. So we need to make sure that we can help you as best we can through our knowledge, through our chambers, whatever we have. This is why we're here. We're here to help. Is that what we're here for, Bill? Are we here to just sell them, or are we here to help them?
We are here to educate. The people who come on this webinar, most people they're people who have heard that hyperbaric therapy might help them. But even doctors today don't really know that much about hyperbaric therapy. I talk to doctors all the time. And after I spend a couple hours with them, a typical response is they'll shake their head and say, wow, I can't believe that as a physician, I didn't know more about this. Well, if that's a doctor, what about the general consumer? So our job isn't to sit here and sell you something. Mm-hmm. Our job is to educate you so that you can make an intelligent decision as to whether you should put hyperbaric therapy into your life or not.
And now that comes to another question that came to mind. When people, this is the number one problem that we see from day to day. I mean, every single day, this is the problem that we see. We see people come in, they need the treatment. We want to help them as much as possible. Their credit's bad, their money, they don't have much money. They don't, there's whatever factor that's led up to that situation. It breaks our hearts because we want to help every single person that we can. So what does H3 offer? What does our other company, Last Hyperbarics, what does that offer as far as helping the patients be able to achieve their goals?
Well, the biggest thing is we have a lot of options. With almost all our patients, we want them to come in and experience the hyperbaric chamber so they can see what it can do. But the reality is that it's probably more cost effective for them if we find a way to put a chamber into their home. You can easily spend a couple $1,000s a month coming in for hyperbaric treatments, and for $200 or $300 a month, you can put a chamber in their home if you finance it. We have lenders that finance A, B, C, and D credit. We have a lot of different options that are available for you. But the bottom line is insurance doesn't really cover the majority of these health issues, and that's sad. Mm-hmm. And because of that, the reality is that it doesn't matter how bad somebody's pain is, the pain of pulling their wallet out hurts more. And because of that, it's difficult for hyperbaric clinics to survive. That's why you don't see them all over the United States. I'll guarantee you, when insurance starts covering hyperbaric therapy, every doctor will have a hyperbaric chamber in his facility.
That brings me to another question. How many ambulances, medical offices, hospitals in Europe and Japan and many other places in that area between Europe and Japan have hyperbaric chambers?
Well, it's much more prevalent in Europe than it is in the U.S. For example, MS. It's been the number one treatment for MS for years over in Europe. And over here, the MS Society doesn't really want to hear about it. But if you take the heart attack, you know, when somebody has a heart attack, what's the first thing they do? They give you an oxygen mask. Well, in Japan, many ambulances have hyperbaric chambers in them, so on the way to the hospital, you're not just breathing oxygen, but it's being forced into your cells and tissues, much more of a profound effect.
So how does, you know, a lot of people are going to ask, well, when I want to go and use a hyperbaric chamber, what's it going to do for me? Now, again, it comes down to, you know, what is your condition? And this is why we sit down with our patients and we talk to them. We say, number one, what's their problem? What are we trying to solve here for you? Because again, we're trying to educate you on what a hyperbaric chamber can do. We're trying to educate you on what it can help you with. It's not going to help every single person the exact same way. It's going to help everyone, but not necessarily the exact same way. Do you agree with that, or?
Yeah, everybody's different. We're all like snowflakes. Mm-hmm. Everybody's different. So, just because we see a miracle with one person doesn't mean that we'll see a miracle with the next person that has an identical condition. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So let's see. Normally, I'd be asking Dr. Cornell, if he was here, some more questions, but let's move into some different chambers. Most people, you know, we keep talking about a hyperbaric chamber, what a chamber does, how it works. Let's talk just a little bit. You know, let's spend a couple minutes talking about the different chambers that are available. You know, on average, you know, what they can get. Used chambers, new chambers.
Yeah, you can get a new chamber, you can get a used chamber. They come in small, medium, and large. The prices are the same. You're going to spend anywhere from about $8,500 up to $24,000. The thing is, you want to buy a quality chamber because you're going to use it the rest of your life.
So who makes quality chambers?
Well, Oxy Health has the best chambers. They're the best chambers. They're definitely the best chambers. I wonder if we have any questions, or if any of the viewers have any questions.
Well, let me see here if you got any questions.
If you have any questions, let us know.
Yeah, feel free to.
I don't want to just be redundant and
yeah,
kind of go over a lot of the same stuff, but if there's specific questions, I'd like to.
This is actually pretty bad screen there in that one.
So there's a question on, does it matter what stage of Alzheimer's, will it help you regardless of the stage that your Alzheimer's or dementia is in? And the answer to that question is, it doesn't matter how severe your Alzheimer's is, you're going to benefit. Now that doesn't mean that you're going to have somebody with late stage Alzheimer's all of a sudden have a memory. It's not going to happen. The
Uniform politics.
but it's going to improve their condition. It doesn't matter whether it's early or whether it's late. It's still going to, you're going to see improvement.
So here's a question from Troy. He's asking if I, he says, if I have a mixed dementia or a mixed, I guess he just says mixed dementia, which I'm guessing is Alzheimer's dementia. I know there's a condition, I was looking at it earlier about it. If I have a mixed dementia, how much will that help me? Now that's a really serious question, and I wish we had Dr. Cornell here to answer some of that, but what do you think, Bill?
There's no guarantee. Nobody can sit here and guarantee. I'll give you an example. In clinical studies with rheumatoid arthritis, 91.5% of the people showed remarkable improvement. 23% went into remission. But what happened to the other 8.5%? How come it helped 91.5% and didn't help the other 8.5%?
How come?
Don't know.
Exactly.
So the thing is, when somebody wants us to guarantee can help them, we can't do that. The hyperbaric chamber has proven to help dementia. It has proven to slow the progression of Alzheimer's. Is there a guarantee it will do it for you? No. It probably will.
Okay.
But there's no guarantee.
So I got another question for you, Bill. Now this is a question for me. If a doctor thinks you have Alzheimer's, and not, I mean, this is kind of a hard question to answer, I guess, but if the doctor thinks you have Alzheimer's, or the doctor's not sure, who do you go to? I mean, if one doctor's saying one thing, and one doctor's saying another thing, you have dementia, you have Alzheimer's. I mean, I know you were in a similar situation with your cancer. One doctor was saying you would die if you didn't do something. Another doctor was saying you'd die if you did do something. So, I mean, who do you trust?
The only thing you can do is get second opinions and third opinions. A lot of it comes down to trusting your instincts, but it's funny that doctors themselves contradict each other all the time. So that's why we get different opinions. They're human. Mm-hmm. They make mistakes, but they have their beliefs, and it comes down to how much do you trust your doctor.
So that brings up another question, and it's kind of a funny question, but not really. So how much, like you just said, how much do you trust your doctor? So does a hyperbaric chamber lie? Can it lie? No, it can't. So all it can do is provide results, some better than others. That's why I guess it can't hurt to try it. You never know until you ask or until you try.
My thing is that we're not here to sell. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to sit here and promote whether somebody should use hyperbaric therapy or shouldn't use. We're here to educate. We're here to make you aware that this is something that might help you. I'm going to tell you this. When I had cancer, I went to a doctor and he said, whatever you do, don't do chemo and radiation or you're going to die. I go to another doctor, you have to do chemo and radiation or you're going to die. But I go to one doctor and they said, you should get a Rice machine. I bought a Rice machine. Somebody said you should do vitamin C IV drip. I did vitamin C IV drip. Somebody said you should get a cold laser. I got a cold laser. Food grade hydrogen peroxide. wheatgrass shots, cottage cheese and flaxseed oil. You name it, I tried it. If somebody said it might help me, the last thing in the world I wanted to do is be lying on my deathbed wishing
You tried it.
I had tried something. And for many medical conditions, you have nothing to lose. The hyperbaric chamber is not going to hurt you. The mild hyperbaric chamber is not going to hurt you. You have everything to gain and nothing to lose. So why would you not try it?
Yeah.
To see what it can do for you. That's my personal opinion. If I'm sitting there with Alzheimer's and somebody comes up to my kids and said, you know, he should try this, my kids better darn well let me try it.
Exactly, and I guess that's what it comes down to. This is why we're here. It is that we're here to help. You know, I ask these questions. Sometimes I'm direct on the way I ask the questions because I want our viewers to pay attention. I want the answers,
Mm-hmm.
and I want our viewers to have the answers, and that's what it comes down to. So let's do one more time here. Let's make sure we get the number. So if people want to contact us and get a hold of us, we're about to wrap this session up of our dementia webinar. But Bill, how can they get a hold of you? One more time.
Call me anytime. My number is 253-363-0500. I'll try and answer all your questions.
And you're welcome to call me anytime. We work together on a daily basis. My number is 206-794-8229. And feel free to send us questions. Feel free to get a hold of us anytime. You can talk to us on Facebook. It's H3 Therapy on Facebook. You're welcome to call us anytime. Also, next week, we are going to have an awesome webinar. I can't wait for this one on drug addiction. We have not covered that yet, and I'm really excited to talk about that next week. So stay tuned.
Addictions
In general. Yeah, exactly. Any addictions.
It could be gambling, it could be whatever.
And,
There's a portion of the brain that reacts to hyperbaric therapy.
I'm going to stop Bill there because I want you guys to see that next Tuesday. And we'll make it happen next Tuesday. So thank you guys for joining, and I'm excited to talk to you next week.
See ya.